Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's Theresa here. Today I have a hybrid scrapbook layout for you. I'm working with the Sahlin Studio August 22 digital template and also the Simplify digital kit, both from Sahlin Studio, and I will provide links down below. These templates are designed for use in Photoshop and also in the Affinity app or any other apps that may allow you to utilize layers. And so what I've done is created the layout in Photoshop using the template and then printed all the elements out onto a 13 by 19 sheet. I use a Canon wide format printer, and I'm just going to trim out all of the elements. I say this every time. One of the reasons I love working with digital templates like this is that it allows you to print out just what you need, and that conserves ink, conserves paper in a very paper heavy industry, and also gives you the option to use your products over and over and over again. And the hybrid part of these layouts allows you to play with texture and dimension just as you would any other product. It just takes a little prep, and I actually like the prep, again, because it allows me to only print what I need, but it also is an easy way to set up a layout and get it done pretty quickly. I use these a lot for our boy layouts. We have 4 children, and that gives me lots to scrapbook. And when I'm creating layouts for our boys, these help me, they help me kind of stick to a more minimalist kind of style, whereas my normal style for myself is to just use everything and add everything that I want. But the boys' personalities are a bit more restrained, and Nick especially is a self-proclaimed minimalist, unlike anything I've ever seen before. And so I try to keep his layouts a bit more suiting to his personality. And that's the nice thing, I will say. It's a nice thing about scrapbooking your kids when they're older and you get a feel for their personality, and you can kind of create layouts that suit them better versus layouts that suit you. That being said, there's absolutely nothing wrong with creating layouts that make you happy, even if it's about your kids. So one of the things here about how I trim out these elements. And so if you're not familiar with Photoshop layers, layers allow you to put elements, pattern papers, photos, journaling, each on a different layer, kind of like your fall clothes. If you think about when you get dressed for fall and you don't know if it's going to be warm or cold, you might put on a t-shirt, a sweater, a vest, and a coat over top of that. And so the background paper is going to be your t-shirt layer. The photo might be your vest layer. The embellishments might be your coat layer. I hope that makes sense. And so then I just print out each of the layers, and I move them to the side onto the printable canvas and print them that way, and then use my cutter, my paper trimmer, my punches, whatever I have on hand, scissors. You can hand cut. You can also, of course, run these through your silhouette. And I think it's just kind of cathartic to watch somebody cut out these little embellishments, and it's kind of fun to just sit here and get lost in the process. It's a bit of a mindless process where you can just think about things and think about life and yeah, just kind of enjoy yourself with no pressure. So what I'm going to do after I get all of these trimmed out is put it all together. And so the story that I'm telling in this layout is my son Nick, his 18th birthday. And so this year is a big year for him. He turned 18 in June and graduated from high school like just a few days before that, and getting ready to go off to college. So it's a big year, and I wanted this layout to express how proud I am of him, to acknowledge some of the obstacles that I know that all of our kids have faced over the last 2 years, and how all of our kids have done really well. I'm really proud of all of them. This little element here is kind of cute. It's a little notebook, top of a notebook pad. And the actual digital embellishment itself is the whole notebook pad, but I'm just going to use a little bit of it. And to give it that notebook feel, like it's been ripped out of an actual notepad, I went ahead and punched all of those little tiny circles. My hand got a little tired. Now, again, if you have a silhouette and you run it through a silhouette, you can get your silhouette to cut out all those little circles. And sometimes I do that, but on this day, I just wasn't in the mood to to do that. You get like that sometimes, and just not in the mood to run the silhouette. And so hand cutting works just fine. And then that also made it possible so I could rough those little punches up a little bit and make it distressed, which is kind of a nice texture. It's kind of nice to be able to incorporate that texture into your hybrid layouts. So at this stage, I'm ready to assemble everything. I have the layout as I've designed it. It's open in my Photoshop, and I'm referring to it to help me place these items. And sometimes you can print a little light outline around your elements if you need to, but I usually just kind of play it by ear here and just see how everything lands. And it may be a little different from the template itself, and that's okay too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with changing things up once you get it out into real life. And this was a fun little label as well. And in the digital kit, I think it's actually a washi tape. But I used it here for the date and just used my trusty old Becky Higgins roller date stamp to add that date there. A couple of little arrows, and the more word art that I placed over top of the speech bubble. And so the Simplify digital kit is actually one of those collections that is so super flexible that you can almost use it with anything if you like. And that makes it perfect for boy layouts. And so as the final kind of thing on my layout, I want to add one, it needs a title. I did the journaling in Photoshop before I printed it all out. You can handwrite, of course. You can handwrite your journaling after you print everything if you like. But I wanted to do a title in a physical format and maybe add a couple more, I don't know, puffy stickers, stars, something or another. And so I'm going to just go through some of these American Crafts and Pink Fresh alphas and things that I have and see what works. And I'm kind of feeling like this may not make sense to some people, and to some people it may make perfect sense. I'm feeling like it needs a little pop. And there are colors in this layout besides the black and the blue and the gray of the Simplify kit. There's a little bit of color in his t-shirt, and there's also a little pop of red in that word strip, or kind of light red, orange, almost orange color in that word strip above his head. And that opened up an opportunity to use these puffy words. And even though there's not a bit of blue or black in these puffy words, I think this works. One, it's an unexpected pop of color, and I love doing that. If you look closely, most of my layouts include some kind of unexpected thing, and what makes it work is, again, there's a little tiny opening where it already appears in one of the word art pieces from the kit, and so that sort of gives permission. It kind of, like I said, it just opens the door a little bit. And then I'm also going to repeat that color using some of these little puffy stars and dots, and just finding other ways to bring those colors in. And that softened the edges of this layout a little bit. It's a scripted font, and so because there's a lot of squares and rectangles and sharp edges on this template. And so this introduces not just a pop of color, but also a softer element. And that's something that I want him, something maternal that I want him to feel when he sees this layout in the future. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you'll go and have a play with this template. I will have all the links down below, and there's also a full blog post that is available, and I will link to that as well. I'll see you back here again soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.